Now, I want to bring in, you probably know that our next guest, Matthew Buckley, Whiz Buckley. He's been on the show before as a former Navy fighter pilot. Also turns out, welcome back, Whiz. He's a trader, right? Your Wall Street got a Wall Street side action. No, not really side action anymore because you're not flying jets anymore. But you do a little trading, right? So you're watching this from all kinds of angles and have your own experience in your career to speak about it. What's your views on things and what the president's trying to do here?
Well, Connell, I absolutely love days like today. I've been trading and investing since 1991, and I remember the 1999, 2000 .com boom.
We're all you love it because of the volatility. You're in and out, all kinds of things, right?
I love blood in the streets. I was in the Chicago Board of Trade in 2008, ground zero for the financial crisis. Oh, my God, the financial system's going to collapse. Every one of these as being a buying opportunity, right? So remember, folks, with investing, for every seller, there's a buyer. And every buyer, there's a seller. So days like today, Connell, I absolutely love blood in the streets, and I'm a buyer here. 12 to 18 months from now, this is going to be a binary outcome. Either in 12 to 18 months, the president was right, we're going to see explosive growth, right, or it's the Fred Sanford, right? We're going to grab our chest, and it's the big one, Elizabeth, I'm coming. I don't think that's going to happen.
I get it, and then you're right about that because long term, it's like look at March of '09, and you could say, well, that was 666 was the big number, and so like correct. You could look at those. That was kind of ominous as it turned out, but then it was straight up from there. I've heard some arguments today. It's kind of interesting in markets that this time is different. Why? Because then, and in all these other times we've gone through this, who bailed us out? The government, in a lot of times, government spending, for better or worse. Right. Everybody hates the government. Well, it was government spending that came to the rescue in '08 and in a lot of time after 9/11, I suppose, as well. So, but now it's like that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. They're cutting. You got Doge is cutting everything. So maybe this time is different. What do you say?
Connell, if I had $1 for every time I heard this time it's different, I'd be Elon Musk. So. You're right. There has been a Fed put underneath this market. And let me be blindingly clear here. In 2008, at the financial crisis, I said, let it burn. I said, do not step in, Federal Reserve Chief Bernanke, and save capitalism. If the Feds need to step in to, quote, save capitalism, it ain't capitalism. So half of me is let it burn, and from the ashes will rise a phoenix. Right. So I think the president's got a little bit of runway here. He's got
but that market might not have come back with the way it did with all that. I get it. Ideologically, you were opposed to it, but maybe that those buying opportunities you had wouldn't have been the same opportunities, right? I don't know.
Well, absolutely. So, but this time, I think the president is ignoring the stock market, right? And let's be clear: 10% of Americans are in equities right now. Middle America is seeing a president that is standing up for Americans for a change, right? We've been taken advantage of for far too long. We've been the world's bank. We've been the world's policeman. And he's just trying to make things right. If you don't agree with fair trade, you got a problem. He's just trying to make it equal. And based on what's happened in the past 24 hours, not all world leaders have gone full freak mode. Some have said, you know what, we're going to talk and we'll figure things out. So after the dust settles, man, I am telling you, this is an absolute buying opportunity. Amazon, Microsoft, some of these names that are getting pummeled, you're going to look back 12 months from now and say, man, what an absolute gift that would have been if I bought.
Tesla?
Absolutely. I think Tesla's a screaming buy down here. Shrimp are a vehicle for eating cocktail sauce. Tesla is a vehicle for eating Elon Musk. Take the EV out of it. Put the Elon in it, and I would not be short Elon Musk. Trust me. There's a graveyard of people that have been short Elon Musk, and it ain't too pretty.
It's interesting. We were talking about it earlier. We have views from all sides. That was, saying that to our earlier guest because that's kind of our deal here. And you hear it sometimes people, and usually the side that's like all over the top one way or the other ends up being wrong in the long term. It's not as bad as you think. And and I get that, but it does It feels bad when you're going through it, doesn't it? I mean, it's hard to stay the course. What do you say to people who they want us? That's what non-professional investors, whatever you want to call it, consumers, regular people do a lot. It's like you say buy low, sell high, and they do the opposite because they freak out at times.
That's exactly right, Connell. On days like today, if you don't know what you're doing, I run a firm called TOPGUN Options. We love this, like we alluded to, that volatility. Go for a walk. Go meditate. Don't look at this. The dust will settle, and look at it in a couple weeks from now. But if you're tactical and you're looking at this stuff tick by tick, it's going to drive you nuts. But again, I hate aging myself. I've been doing this since 1991.
Yeah.
Every one of these was the big one. and it wasn't. They were incredible buying opportunities.
Well, I think what was big about it is he went further than people thought. So even the people, like you said earlier, like, oh, everybody wants free trade and something wrong with you if you don't. Even people say, yeah, that's true. We want things to be fair. They look at this and they say, well, this is just a little bit much from President Trump. In other words, we didn't think it would go this far with some of these rates.
You gotta, and the guy's a negotiator. He is.
Right, but that's the other thing, as we said earlier, that adds just to the uncertainty because now everyone's trying to plan. So, you know.
He goes, this is his opening salvo. This is the USS New Jersey battleship, a broadside. We're not going to end up here. He didn't come out of the gates wimpy. He came out strong, and I guarantee you we're going to meet in the middle. The dust is going to settle. You know, the interesting that he brought up pharma real quick. Yep. Pharma's companies spend $5.5 billion. That's a B every year advertising in this country. Where do they make their drugs? India and China. Could you imagine? You know, 90%. I did all this research. 90% of their drugs are made overseas. Could you imagine if Big Pharma, instead of spending $5.5 billion in advertising, actually started building some factories here and doing stuff like that?
We had the Irish ambassador on and they do a lot of work over there too, pharmaceutical companies and U.S. pharmaceutical companies, and then they'll import here because it makes more business sense. So, but again, it takes time to do that stuff. But I get your larger point. You know, it's great. As I said, you come on as a guest to talk about everything. I've seen
fighter jets and
fighter
airlines,
pilot, his commercial pilot, trader, whatever it is. So whatever we need to call you back. Right. Yeah. More MacGyver than Top Gun. Thank you, Whiz. Good to talk to you again.
Thanks, Connor.
Whiz Buckley does it all, this guy. All right, we're taking this